Hello, everyone. My name is Sherry Marcus, and I'm so happy to be here today. I lead the Machine Learning Solutions Lab at AWS. Our mission is to accelerate AI/ML innovation for commercial and government organizations. I have the sincere privilege of working with some of the most innovative and large organizations in the world. And today, I will share some of my learnings with you. I want to talk today about some of the challenges that we see over and over again with customers moving from AI theory into practice. First, customers face challenges moving AI projects from proof of concept, or POC, into scale. We'll talk a little bit about some key ideas about how to operationalize. Second, we will discuss generative AI and differentiate it from the hype. Third, we'll talk about operationalizing responsible AI in all its dimensions. And fourth, we will share tips and tools to help you democratize machine learning across your organization. The seeds of the machine learning paradigm shift that we're seeing today has existed for decades. So why are we just seeing this paradigm shift and inflection point today? There are three factors that are in play. First, the rapid availability of scalable compute capacity. Second, data. A rapid, massive proliferation of data exists to train models. And third, the rapid advancement of machine learning architectures, including the transformer technology. This shift is transforming entire industries as we speak today. And ML will continue to be core in building the modern organizations of today and tomorrow. And we're seeing this materialize in four different ways. First, businesses are moving from pilots to production in machine learning more rapidly. Second, machine learning is handling more and more real-world tasks. Third, machine learning projects are moving more rapidly, and customers are wanting to see more and more machine learning move into production. And lastly, machine learning is getting integrated into more and more DevOps and IT processes. As an example of a real-world task of what we're seeing in machine learning today, for example, software developers are now using generative AI to help them create code. However, like with all technology projects, we also see a lot of blockers and barriers. And while much progress has been done, there still exists much to do. Let's talk about some of these barriers that we see. First, attracting talent. Organizations with AI experience only move 54% of their projects into production, as we measured in the last 2 years. They are struggling with a lack of machine learning skill, organization, or inertia, and having the right quantity and quality of data. Second, building AI responsibly across a number of dimensions. On the data dimension, one has to look at bias and fairness. On the model dimension, one has to look at explainability. And on the data and model dimensions, one needs transparency and governance, and it all has to integrate into a coherent organizational structure. Third, we see that organizations want to make decisions faster and increase efficiencies. In order to do this, this includes customers need to be able to rapidly adapt and change their data stores based on their demand, and it needs to be connected into a coherent system that needs to be governed. Fourth, putting data to work. In a world where data, security, and governance is critical, companies need to make sure that those who have access to the right pieces of data actually do. And in the next 3 years, more data will be created than in the last 30 years. And our legacy systems today are not yet able to, cannot handle it. Lastly, innovating new experiences and reimagining old ones. AIML will certainly create new revenue opportunities, create cost efficiencies, and increase decision making. We must break down data silos so that customers will be able to access and analyze all types of data from a variety of sources. So how do we accelerate a POC into production? As we head into the machine learning, as head of the Machine Learning Solutions Lab at AWS, I've seen what organizations need as they progress from a POC and, beginning with ideation into a POC and then into production. Let's talk through some of the key best practices. First, access and plan. Organizations need to understand when ML is a good option to solve their problems and when it is not. To start that, you need to articulate your use case, roadmaps, and next steps. Second, test and validate. Data lakes may not be in the right state in order to start an ML project. You need to uncover the data challenges early. Let me repeat that. You need to uncover the data challenges early. I can't stress that too much. Third, mobilize and deploy. Once the wins start coming in, organizations need to expand capabilities more broadly and create standardization across different units. And lastly, scale and modernize. The prior step may also include a skill gap among builders, the need for organizational alignment among stakeholders, new pipelines, and model deployment and monitoring frameworks. It is important to understand the current state and properly manage that for analysis of the gaps. This encourages the flywheel of innovation to keep turning. When we engage with organizations, we add value, long-term value, with AI and ML. And I have the privilege of talking about a few of our proven outcomes today using AI ML. With Janssen, we helped accelerate the discovery and improve patient outcomes by predicting the affinity between a drug and its disease target. With Broadridge Financial, we helped automate processing and analyzing massive volumes of data to quickly inform shareholders of making important decisions. And lastly, with Swimming Australia, we brought together a holistic view of athletic performance, helping coaches support decision-making in competition, predicting possible and probable outcomes, and the influencing of tactical racing strategies. It was my sincere pleasure to be able to work with my team and these customers on creating these solutions. Let's directly hear from Australia Swimming as an example.
Swimming in Australia is the most successful Olympic sport.
We're looking at what's it going to take to win, not just in Paris in 2024, but also in 2032 in Brisbane. We had a lot of data, but we weren't maximising that. With the help of the solutions architects at AWS, we're able to put all that data in one place, and now the data is starting to talk to each other.
We can see what we need to do in terms of our overall skills, whether that's starts and turns, how they pace the race, but we can also get the stroke mechanics. That bit is the key. That tells us the focus area when the coaches get back into training.
It's about pulling training evidence and combining it with machine learning and AI to develop an individualised bespoke program around the individual swimmer. Australia, in sport in general, has always been at the forefront of science. Information, data, and knowledge is power.
what do all of these companies, Janssen, Broadridge, and Australia Swimming, have in common? They want to innovate. They're all trying to find new solutions to key problems that they face. And how can we possibly talk about innovation today without talking about generative AI? Let's start with a definition. There's so much hype around generative AI today, so let's back up a few steps and just really talk about the inflection point that we're at today. Generative AI is a type of AI that can create new content, whether it be conversations, audio, video, images, or music. Like all AI, generative AI is powered by machine learning models, very large models that are trained on vast corpuses of data and commonly referred to as foundational models. These large models have hundreds of billions of parameters and are growing rapidly. To give a sense for the change in scale, the largest model trained in 2019 was about 330 million parameters. Today, we're training foundational models over 500 billion parameters, or a 1,600 times increase over the last few years. The size and general nature purpose of these foundational models differentiate them from traditional AI models, which typically perform specific tasks like sentiment, image classification, or summarization. These foundational models can do all of them. So how do foundational models work? Well, they perform so many more tasks because they contain a large number of parameters that make them capable of learning complex tasks and concepts. While the capability and resulting potentials of foundational models are amazing, what we find companies are really excited about is that they can be customized to perform domain-specific functions that are differentiating for businesses. And they only require a small amount of data and compute to train a model from scratch. So that's the big deal. Customized foundational models create a unique customer experience, whether it's in a business's style or service or voice, across a wide variety of industries like banking, healthcare, and technology. And just last week, we made a number of announcements to build and scale AI on AWS. You can now build new generative AI applications on top of popular foundational models like AI-21 Labs, Anthropic, Stability AI, or you can use services built in generative AI, all running on their most performant and cost-effective infrastructure. So organizations are asking, how do I get started in AI? And how do I use generative AI to drive new business value? So let's talk about a couple of examples that I've worked on in generative AI from an enterprise application perspective. First, the Rika company, a Japanese company known for spearheading office automation, wanted to further innovate in this area. And so what they wanted to be able to do specifically is document summarization. So what we did was we created a 6 billion parameter Japanese language model and trained it. And the time for training this language model using Amazon SageMaker time was saved by over 30%. And at the same time, the model training at the billion parameter level, we trained at the billion parameter level without memory errors by partitioning the large model across multiple GPUs and instances. Fox is another example of a company who wanted to build a natural language generation engine to automatically produce live sports narratives. With us, we developed a model pipeline that generates narratives, sports narratives, using an ML-trained model from billions of text and sports stats. In just a few short weeks, we achieved results with Fox over 99%. As we work with customers, we found that showcasing these real-world examples of AI really helps them understand what the art of the possible is in their organization. And at the same time, they can ideate new ideas within their own companies. Generative AI has captured people's imagination in an entirely new way to look at art, stories, and so much more. With that potential comes specific risks and concerns like accuracy, toxicity, copyright, and safety. At AWS, we are committed to building AI responsibly across the ML lifecycle, whether that is focused on emerging concerns around copyright and accuracy, generative AI, or more broadly, bias, fairness, and transparency. Our commitment to develop AI and machine learning in a responsible way is integral to our approach at AWS. We are focused on 4 key areas. First, we repeatedly hear that while customers are using machine learning, they are still struggling to understand how to operationalize responsible AI. They need tools, resources, and learnings to address this gap and get started. Whether they need built-in services to detect bias, like Amazon SageMaker Clarify, or specific experts within responsible AI to provide workshops and understand roadmaps. Second, responsible AI is an integral part of the entire machine learning lifecycle, including design and development, deployment, and ongoing uses. It is something that cannot be done in a lab, but needs to be done within the entire organization. Just last year, we launched AI Service Cards, a new transparency resource to help customers further understand our AI services and provide one place to find the intended use cases and limitations, responsible AI design choices, and deployment best practices. Third, responsible AI is an active area in research and development. Just look at generative AI and the new issues regarding truthfulness. Finally, responsible AI encompasses people, processes, and technology. At AWS, we take a people-centric approach that starts with education early and often. And just last year, we launched a new responsible AI course, 9 hours, on machine learning at Machine Learning University, and it's for free. Check it out. However, in order to be able to move new AI ML into production, we need more AI ML students and new engineers coming into our pipeline. And the US graduates today only 54,000 computer science students each year, which is the dominant pathway into AI ML. And as seen, more than 1 million jobs will be added into the workforce. To address this, AWS Deep Racer educates those interested in ML with a hands-on training program using reinforcement learning. Developers see their code come to life through a 1/18th scale race car in an autonomous global racing league. More than 310,000 developers from 150 countries have been educated on ML using AWS Deep Racer. It continues to be the fastest way to get hands-on intelligence within AI. No-code and low-code offerings like Amazon SageMaker also play an enabling role to get individuals up to speed without coding experience and to help you connect the dots with data. But challenges still remain. the next generation of builders remains hindered by a lack of diversity. And it is important that diverse minds shape the next generation of technology. So last year we announced the AWS AI and ML Scholarship Program that provides $10 million in scholarships, mentorships, and hands-on learning to understand to underserved and underprivileged children. And we've awarded 2,000 scholarships to date. Many years ago, I was once a beneficiary of such a scholarship for girls in math, and I can tell you these programs are essential. Now let's hear from students who are the next generation of builders being supported.
I want to be a mentor for the next generation.
I want to just inspire the community that supported me.
I would like to use artificial intelligence to improve the living standards of Kenyans.
I had to prove that there's this reason to believe in me.
Without the AWS AI and ML scholarship, I wouldn't have been confident with making a product start to finish within AI and ML.
I now know for a fact that I am capable of doing well in this particular field.
Thanks so much for joining me today as we've discussed the challenges in transforming AI from theory into practice and operationalizing AI across the ML lifecycle, from responsible AI to generative AI to democratizing AI. Here are some resources to get you started on your ML journey. Thanks so much for having me again at the World AI Summit, and I'll make myself available one-on-one to further discuss the challenges and opportunities that we see together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Sherry. That was marvelous. If you're happy, we'll take a few questions from the
Sure.
audience. If you could raise your hand if you have a question for Sherry, nice and high so our microphone runners can see you. Oh, there's a gentleman over here. Yes, near to you. Yep, if you could just stand up, sir. That's it.
Hello. Imot Samskwagan, Kochu Kapi, Nishtes Geja. And what I said is I feel good. Glad to be in these territories today. My name's James Delorme, and I'm a member of Klahoose First Nation. And I just want to thank you for that perspective. And my question to you is, I love the fact that you're working with these data sets, with the partnerships that you're using. Maybe there's some other groups that you're going to start working with to really build out that generative AI and how that system that you're just described is going to be working with other communities in different social situations. Thank you.
So the question, just to make sure I heard the question, what organizations will we be working on to further develop generative AI and communities?
Yeah, I think that was it.
Okay. So we obviously will be working with many organizations and many, communities. I'm not the right person to address specific ones, but I'll be happy to get that answer back to you.
Thank you. And do we have any other questions? Oh, I think we have, yep, right here. Perfect.
Thank you for that presentation. My name is Mike. I work for Route This, a network diagnostic company. What would you say for the companies that are currently looking to integrate tools into their stack that center around ML and AI with regards to scaling challenges? So another way to put that question is, what are some of the approaches your AWS tools take to tackle scaling challenges for generative AI models, for example?
Yeah, so what we're seeing is that there are a few brackets of foundational models that customers might be interested in and looking to utilize. And I would say, to directly answer your question, is to leverage fine-tuning of foundational models using specific data sets. As such, the inference costs and the training costs to be able to do that would be mitigated substantially.
Thank you, Sherry. And I think there was another hand. Yeah, just in front. There we go.
Hey, thank you. My name is Natalia. I'm a video game producer, so we work with a lot of designers, artists. People are heard definitely getting a little bit worried about generative AI.
Yeah.
And you seem to have worked with a lot of different companies who have tried to apply this technology in different ways. I'm kind of curious, in your work with these different groups of people, how have you seen people's roles evolve? You know, do we become supervisors of what AI, like the information it produces for us? Do we have to reskill some people? How does this affect people who are now using the technology?
I view it as a people enhancer, you know, so the best example I can provide, I actually was reading about in high school classes where teachers are using generative AI as like a 1.0 for asking high school students to write essays. And then from that, using that as a draft, you know, they're creating better and better essays, right, along that. Similarly, in software development, just being able to identify the simpler modules when designing a more complicated program greatly increases the speed of the software development lifecycle. So I see this more as an accelerator than a replacement for people.
Thank you. And I think we have time for just one more, and I can see a gentleman here. Yeah, there we go. He stood up. It's on its way. If you could just keep your questions sort of brief, that'd be fantastic.
Hi. Hello. Yeah. So one big question that is not very often asked with generative AI, it's about intellectual property. So you have a lot of systems and you offer the generative AI so that users can have a base, as you say, but who owns whatever is being produced by your intellectual AI?
So that's a great question. And I think that's a developing, you know, the answer to that is developing. You know, I don't think that there's a one-size-fits-all answer, you know, to your question.
Want a bit debate, I think. But
Yes.
Thank you very much, Sherry. Please get
Thank
a big
you.
hand for Sherry Marcus.
Thank you.
It's intriguing to be sort of debating